Hello to any and all movie nerds and fans out there. Welcome to Film Obsessed, where today we ask the question, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe back? For the last several years, that is probably a more frequently asked question than when people ask if a Blade movie is ever going to get made, and even that still hasn't happened. After some recent success, but also their showcase at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, a lot has happened within the last week regarding this franchise, and some are now asking the question in more ways than one, whether or not they see Marvel coming back to the form that they used to be in before their last saga ended with Avengers Endgame. We are going to discuss that here in today's video, with me also giving my opinion on how excited I am, but also worried at the same time I am for the future. If you are somebody here who is a Marvel fan like I am and is looking forward to the future ahead, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so that we can build this film community that I'm starting on this channel. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video as we jump right in. So like I said, this question has been getting asked so many times recently, and I think that this meme, as you are seeing on screen right here, is a good example to show just how that's been showcased through the last several years and with many different Marvel projects that have come out. If something good happens with Marvel, people will say that the MCU is back, but when something bad happens with Marvel, they'll say that the franchise is dead, and the cycle repeats over and over again. With what happened recently within the last week or so, I think we can really now say that Marvel in some fashion is back again, but this time, can we now actually see them be back consistently? I don't think many people can truly deny that ever since Avengers Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had its ups and its downs. For me personally, I find that there have been more ups than there have been downs, but I don't disparage anyone who says that the downs have significantly hindered it more than the ups. A TV show like the Loki series is arguably to some one of the best things that Marvel has ever done, and then you have a movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania that is one of the worst movies that Marvel has ever put out. Again, it's been like this since 2019, and I think recently we are starting to see that turn around a little bit. If anyone here has been paying attention, obviously the talk of the town right now is the movie that so many people have been waiting for so long, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. It came out this past weekend, and it garnered some of the best success for an R-rated film and a movie in general ever, breaking records at the box office and giving people some of the most joy and fun that they've had in the movie theaters ever. As someone who has seen the movie already and plans to see it a second time, I can highly endorse that claim for how fun it was, but at the same time, we cannot shy away for how successful it is at the moment and how successful it's going to be by the end of its theatrical run. The movie is not just paving the way for more potential R-rated comic book films in the future, but it is also paving the way for people to have Marvel back in their minds again as something that they might come to go and support all the time when watching their films and their television shows. Inside of this movie is also a subtle message from Marvel themselves that they realize that there are mistakes that have been made within the last however many years that they want to course correct on, and we are seeing that in real life right now with a lot of the decisions that they have been making recently. We are seeing them be public about the fact that they want to move away from the quantity versus quality aspect and just get back to making good stuff without having to rush something out in order to meet a sales quota. Kevin Feige, the main man himself at Marvel, also seems like he'll be more in control now of where things go, which is a good thing for everyone, given he is the mastermind behind so much of what has made Marvel successful. We could also be seeing the MCU move away from the multiverse story concept that has, so far for a lot of people, plagued the universe and its projects recently. On the creative side, from the filmmaking process, we might also see a lot of projects get back to being made the way that they should be and not by executives or committee. It was reported within the last year that during the time of the recent leadership change at Disney, that Marvel was not adhering to and following the rules of how to make a television show. They were making executives showrun the shows and also throwing away television Bibles, which are things that are very important to the creative process of making a television series. We could also just be seeing Marvel in general move away from television as a lesser form of entertainment media to communicate their stories, as it seems like movies are a bigger focus right now with what is up and coming for their slate. To be clear, that is not me saying that they are completely moving away from television. We know that they are still going to be doing that, but it seems like movies could be more of a focus down the line. Speaking of those movies, this is a great way to transition into talking about everything that happened at San Diego Comic-Con over this past weekend. Marvel specifically stated before having their panel presentation that everything that they were going to present at this year's Comic-Con was mainly going to be focusing on films as opposed to television, which will be featured at their D23 event in August. I think it was a very smart decision to do that, and I think they managed to find great success with how people received that presentation. They started with Captain America: Brave New World, which is now the fourth film in the franchise, and this time with a new star with Anthony Mackie donning the mantle of Captain America. It is a film that has been going through a really rough production, but one that right now, based off everything that we've seen, is showing promise through its story, but also the concept of what they are going for in its action and its themes. They said that the movie is based in a more grounded approach to feeling more like a film like Winter Soldier, one that deals with themes of spies, politics, and being that great action thriller that we know a movie like that to be. With the addition of someone like Harrison Ford in the film as now replacing the late great William Hurt as Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk, I think we could find the story of this movie going in a very interesting direction. They teased so much about it, and it will be Marvel's next movie coming out in February of next year. Everything I've personally seen has given me good anticipation to be interested and excited. The next movie they presented is Thunderbolts, which in many ways could also be finding us looking at a much similar approach to a movie like Captain America: Brave New World, where the film is taking a much more grounded approach to the superhero fare that many people love. While the details on this movie are a little bit more sparse, we do have a good idea as to what it's going to be about. It's basically a movie following a group of characters who some would consider to be neither good or bad depending on the situation, minus Bucky Barnes, who is a good guy now. More anti-hero in concept, but given some of the things we've heard, it seems like this one could be a lot of fun. It's got a good cast of actors, and I'll be very curious to see more details about it, and even a trailer as we approach that one in its 2025 release. Now it's time to get to the nitty-gritty and juicy stuff that everyone has been talking about, starting with Fantastic Four, which to some is not just their most anticipated movie, but also some would consider maybe the newest, most important Marvel film that we will have to this day. So much is riding on this movie to be good for the future, given the Fantastic Four are a group of characters that will be around for a long time, and some would consider the next main group that we follow along the lines of characters like Iron Man, Captain America, and any of the other OGs that we had when Marvel first started out. I am one of the people who is pleased with the entirety of the cast who they got to play the four characters. I think they are all going to nail it very well. This is also a movie that has details in scarcity given they haven't fully started shooting, but we do have an idea as to what it's going to be like. For one, they are in a separate universe in a setting revolving around a retro-futuristic looking version of the 60s and the 70s. That makes a lot of sense, given it shows why they haven't been around in the main MCU timeline on Earth 616 helping out. The villain of the movie is Galactus, who is being played by Ralph Ineson, who is one of the best voices in all of Hollywood, and so he'll bring that menacing factor to one of Marvel's most popular villains. Silver Surfer is also showing up, but in what capacity we don't know yet, and if the character will be a good guy, bad guy, or someone who is in the middle. They showed off some teases at San Diego Comic-Con, but also announced that the film was going to be scored by the legend Michael Giacchino. He is one of the best film composers in history, with a filmography that is stacked with classics, and I think they got the perfect guy to do that music. If you also look at the slate of what's coming for Marvel down the line, this is really the only film or show that's not named Avengers, as far as we know, that is dealing with a multiversal aspect. It makes sense why, and I'm glad it's the only one to be doing so. All in all, I'm just really hyped for this film, and I cannot wait to see it in the later half of next year. Last but not least, we have saved the best for the end of the video, and it is now time to talk about those Avengers announcements, because we got a few things to speak about. One of those things being that the Russo brothers, known for having created 4 of arguably the best MCU films ever, are returning to direct both of the next Avengers films, titled Doomsday, which is the first one, and then Secret Wars, which is the second one coming after it. I've seen a lot of people say that this is a safe choice, choice, but if you really think about it, there is nothing safe about it. They have made some of the best films that this franchise has seen, so if anything, you are just going to get what you think is going to work best, and that right now is the Russo brothers. They are also getting back one of their old writers that they had with them on those first 4 films they made, and so there is a bit of cohesion to what the story could be, given the work that they've done in the past. As a side note, given I have already said who was doing the music for Fantastic Four, I might as well also talk about the fact that Alan Silvestri was announced to be coming back to do the music for both Avengers films, as he was the one who did them for the past Avengers movies that we've already gotten, and I think that this was a great decision. That Avengers theme is just so iconic now, and getting him to redo it is a great idea. But the Russo brothers coming back was not even the kicker of them all for this Comic-Con panel. We got something else that was rumored at one point, and something that I just did not even want to believe, but it did come true, and that was the fact that the final announcement at the panel was the fact that the man himself, Robert Downey Jr., is returning to play the character of Victor Von Doom, or at least an iteration of him in the next 2 films. The man himself, who played Iron Man for the whole of the Infinity Saga, is returning to play a completely different character, and it is a decision that has left fans ecstatic, but also worried, and I find myself in both of those groups. For one, let's be real here. Robert Downey Jr. is awesome and one of the best working actors right now. Him being back in the MCU is something that I think will get me excited. However, this is where I get worried because I will admit, when it was first announced and the news was flooding all of our timelines, I kept telling myself that this was one of the worst decisions that Marvel had ever made. But I'll admit, I am really glad I live in a circle of people that know comics, and I have been told many things that give me some level of hope if this is the direction Marvel is going down. One of my buddies has told me that there is a potential possibility if Marvel is following a certain comic run, then this is all going to make sense and not come off as a desperate play for Marvel to just bring back RDJ for the sake of it. It is a comic run called Infamous Iron Man, where Iron Man is dead in Doom's universe. He is able to take over the Iron Man mantle in a way to try to be better and also better the world itself. He tries to make himself look like Iron Man as well because of his scarred face. This comic run, from what I hear, also ties in with Secret Wars in some ways. And again, if all this is true and this is the kind of story that they are going to be following, then it might make sense story-wise. I guess for me, I just still need to process this decision and I need to see much more in order for me to really be invested in it. I am somebody who would have preferred if a new actor took up that role, but for all we know, maybe someone does, and there is another Doom that comes into play. But I can't really speak for certain given I am not that knowledgeable about the comics and how this character has worked. All I know is that RDJ is coming back to play him, and so that gets me excited, but also worried. RDJ is a great actor that I am hoping is able to pull off the character even at the age of 60, which, knowing the character, I feel like would have been better off if it was played by a younger guy. But I digress. The decision has been made and we now have to see how it plays out. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow film nerds, that is where this video is going to end. Again, it has been a wild ride the last week or so with everything that we have gotten from Marvel, and so now we just have to let the future play out as we see what they are able to do in order to bring this franchise back as the top dog on the market. Are you worried for the future, or are you excited for what Marvel is offering with all these changes that they are making lately? Leave your comments down below about what you think about everything and my commentary of it. If you want to see more moving forward from me on this channel with regards to film and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you are new here and turn on that notification bell to be updated for when I upload again. So yeah, that's a wrap, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and I will see you all soon for the next video.